All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. And anybody who's out in the store, we're getting ready for the show to start. This is a very special event, very special day at Sibley's West. We have two of our old friends, and I mean not in old friends, but old friends, are back. Long time friends are back at Sibley's West. Our little gift shop is now going to be 9 years old, and Marshall and Dolan have made numerous visits to us, and we are just so grateful that in our store, which celebrates Arizona products and people and artists, that Marshall and Dolan have given up their time to come and perform and to share their stories and songs about Arizona. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we do have some books available from Marshall. Of course, his newest one is Arizona Oddities, Land of Tamales and Anomalies.
Anomalies and tamales.
Anomalies and Tamales, yes. And then Dolan Ellis is here, and he has some CDs available, including, I see one for Scrubby, which is the mystery tree on Interstate 17 that is decorated in the middle of night every year. And of course, they reached out to the state Balladeer to come up with a song, and so he did. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much, Marshall and Dolan, for participating and coming out to Sibley's and really acknowledging what we're trying to do with a little gift shop in downtown Chandler to really promote Arizona, celebrate Arizona, the unique people and places of Arizona. So without further ado, I introduce State Historian Marshall Trimble, State Balladeer Dolan Ellis on the Sibley's West stage. Please give them a warm welcome.
Thank you, John. We'd like to open with a song called Arizona. How'd you like it? Land of the cowboy, the miner and his gold, of the drumming dance and the ancient chants of the Hopi and the Navajo. We are a land of all people, and we come from near and far. Yellow, black, brown, white, like a rainbow bright, Arizona's who we are. Let's all sing and make it a quartet. Arizona, through and through. Arizona, home to the end.
Well, he said, take it, you know. You ever have a show's going on and you're there half asleep, and he said, take it. We are a land of anomalies and tamales, and we really celebrate that. Just in case you didn't know, the first white man to come to Arizona was a black man. The first cowboy was an Indian, and the first cowgirl was, or cowboy movie star was a cowgirl from Prescott. Let's see what else. And here's a bar bet for you. No, I'll do the bar bets next. See who can answer these questions. And the prize will be a weekend in Gila Bend in July. Okay. Well, some of the other things you might not know about Arizona is the Lost Dutchman was a German, and the gunfight at OK Corral didn't take place at the OK Corral. The first cattle baron, major cattle baron in Arizona happened to be a woman named Eulalia Elias the Baba Kamari back in the 1820s to the 1840s till the Apaches drove them out. And, hey, Jim, you take it. Here's one for you. Where is Central Arizona? Central Arizona?
Gila Valley.
Gila Valley.
All right, you're cheating. I knew.
Yeah, but I want to know, Marshall, where is Charter? I see it on the buses all the time.
Well, that's the same guy. The guy's not a veteran because it says not in service a lot of times. I won't ride that bus. Art Freeman over here. I should have asked if there were any LDS in the audience because it's between what two towns?
Mason, Lehigh. Mason and Lehigh is where we're at.
Oh no, Central Arizona.
Oh, Central Arizona.
Yeah, you had it right.
Sanford and,
You had it right. It's between Pima and Thatcher. Yeah.
Thatcher, yeah.
So it's a Mormon community, as is Pima and Thatcher, and there's Central and there's Thatcher and Pima, and right here is Central, so they named it Central because it's right between those two major metropolises. You know that, Jim?
I always thought it was between First Avenue and First Street.
Penny Slicker. We hadn't done this in a long time.
We haven't.
I forgot his name for a while there.
Me too.
Well, we both are still around after many, many years of doing all this, and I learned, I still haven't learned to spell octogenarian, but I became one this year, and I'm already working on number 81. But I want to do a little song about. I see these children's books here, and this is a favorite of yours and a favorite of mine. A magpie, you're an early riser, magpie. You're a born chastiser, magpie. You always wake me up, oh me, oh my. You old coyote in the sky. A magpie, some say. You're a born deceiver, I say. You're a true believer, magpie. Oh, the West ain't ever gonna die, just as long as you can fly. You roam all around these hills like a gypsy, and I don't see what's the matter with that. Your choice is meat or something to eat. I don't have a problem with that. You build a big house with a front and a back door, and you want to be free. Oh, holy Moses, magpie, I am you and you are me. So walk that walk, talk that talk, and sing me a song about a way long ago. Was it out on the trail? You got that beautiful tail, riding on the back of a white buffalo. Say, magpie, oh, the West ain't ever gonna die, just as long as you can fly. Magpie, you old coyote in the sky. Now you hang all around these hills in the wintertime. Why in the heck would you want to do that? If it was me, I'd be out of here, man. Give me a couple seconds and grab my hat. Oh, magpie, you're a pretty bird. You just want to be free. Holy Moses, magpie, I am you and you are me. So walk that walk, talk that talk. Sing me a song about a way long ago. Was it out on the trail? You got that beautiful tail. Did you cut a deal with a white buffalo? Say, magpie, oh, the West ain't ever gonna die, just as long as you can fly. Magpie, you old coyote in the sky.
Okay. Don't take it, Dolan. All right. It's always wonderful to share a stage with Marshall Trimble. He's a great friend. We've been friends for a lot of years, and what more can I say except that he's much older than I am. And Marshall, well, we're both getting some years on us now. And Marshall was the other day. Some guy came up to him and complimented him on his nice alligator boots, but he was barefoot at the time. And that happens, Marshall. Don't worry about it. A little body cream after shower really helps out a lot. So. Well, I've been really busy. Yesterday, I just posted a new page on my website, which is www.dolanellis.com or .net, I guess it is, and it's a Christmas page. It's called the Arizona Christmas Collection, and I've also redesigned my my website so we can now do downloads. Does anybody in this room do downloads? Well, it's great. I mean, I know that you're loving downloads because boom, you got it just like that. I love it because you don't have to have CDs made up. You don't have to go all that expense. And so, therefore, the price can be cheaper. And so anyway, I've opened this new page called the Arizona Christmas Collection. And they are songs that I've either written or collected about Arizona at Christmas time. It wasn't too long ago that we here in Arizona were, most people were very isolated, living on ranches and small towns and such. There were no chain stores, no Walmarts or Costco's to do Christmas shopping or to get Christmas decorations. And in fact, there's even a Christmas tree was pretty hard to come by if you lived down here in the desert. And proof of it is the Chandler Christmas tree that they're making out there this year. That comes from back in the 50s or late 40s, I guess, when they started doing that. So anyway, I invite you to go to dolanellis.net or .com and check that out. And it's got a lot of good Arizona Christmas music. Not the easiest thing to find in the world, Arizona Christmas music. So I'd like to do one for you that I have written kind of about those same kind of ideas that I was just talking about. It goes like this. It's called Cactus and Christmas Trees. Cactus and Christmas trees, palms in the evening breeze. That's Arizona at Christmas. Wild desert mistletoe, rum made in Mexico. That's Arizona at Christmas. The beautiful red Christmas cholla, a big bow on an Odom Oya. I'm the only guy in the world that's ever rhymed cholla and Oya. Angels on cards by De Gracia. Piñatas in a Mexican plaza. Bright lights on saguaros, gifts made by Navajos. That's Arizona at Christmas. Out in this desert land, a lot like in Bethlehem, that's Arizona at Christmas. A big pot of green hot tamales, woo! A tumbleweed snowman outside, wreaths of red chilies and holly help celebrate our Christmas tide. Apollo Solari chimes ringing at Christmas time. That's Arizona at Christmas. And a song by the Balladeer giving you Christmas cheer. That's Arizona at Christmas. You like how I wrote myself in there? Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Did you go to sleep back there, buddy?
Yeah.
Marshall dozes off if my songs get too long, you know.
You were going to say Sibley's at Christmas, I thought. You know,
Yeah.
that Sibley's at
Oh,
Christmas.
you know, that's right. You know, this is a great shop, guys. Are we on the internet right now?
Yep.
Oh, man. If you've not been to Sibley's down here in Chandler, you need to come here because they have almost anything Arizona here in the store, and it's a great shop to do your Christmas shopping for your loved ones or who might love Arizona. So come down and look around. Take it, Marshall.
Right. I thought you were going to fall into that cord there. There. You know, Dolan and I, not too long ago, were up at traveling around doing a show up north, and we come across there was one of these traveling carnivals where they had, you know, these animals, all these animals and so forth, and they hit the small towns and stay a day or two and move on to the next town. And I can remember when I was a kid up on Route 66, and well, anyway, we went in there, and Dolan says, "Hey, let's go watch this lion tamer. It's got a real lion in there, and a lion tamer." He says, "I've never seen a lion before," and I said, "Okay." So we went in there, and here was this ring. It wasn't a 3-ring circus; it was a half a ring circus, and they had the ringmaster out there, and they had the lion. There was a lion sitting on a stool, and then they bring on the lion tamer. And I man, she was not just a 10, she was a 12, and wearing a real tight leopard suit, and got up there, and she cracks her whip at that lion like that, and whack like that, and that lion just jumps off there and comes over, and he just starts purring, and he's rubbing his chin up and down, his cheek up and down her leg, and Dolan looked at the ringmaster and he says, "Shucks, anybody can do that." And ringmaster says, "Well, sir, would you like to get into a ring then and try it?" And he says, "Yeah, get that lion out of there first." We started out about 40-some years ago with nothing, and that's about what we brought today. I've been, this is my 20th year writing Ask the Marshal for True West Magazine, and we celebrated, and this is True West Magazine's 20th year here in Arizona. And probably of all the questions I get from Ask the Marshal, most of them have to do with an incident that took place here in Arizona. And I thought I'd do that little song for you. And also, I wanted to, what was I going to say? Oh, the other questions I get are really, really just such deep questions. Like, how many times was Matt Dillon shot? I just got it again, and it ranges from 105 times to 340. I guess it depends on which series you watched. I don't know, but I last time I was feeling really smart alecky, so I wrote back and I said, "You want to count the one at Anzio?" Did you know that trivia? He's 6'7". And he took a hit at Anzio Beachhead coming in on World War II and in the leg. And the reason, if you have a question, why don't we ever see Matt Dillon riding a horse very much, is because it was extremely painful for him to sit on a horse. So whenever you did it, they just got a real quick shot of him on a horse, and then he got off because it hurt. But that's a little piece. Now that's the kind of stuff I wish they'd asked me, but then I wouldn't know the answer to that anyway, probably. But anyway. Okay, around, okay, around. There the outlaw band make their final stand. Okay, around. Oh, my dearest one, must I lay down my guns or take a chance of losing you forever? Duty calls. My back's against the wall. Have you no kind words to say before I ride away? These hands are 80 years old, you know. Your love, I need your love. Keep the flame, let it burn until I return from the gunfight at OK Corral. Take it. Boot Hill, so cold, so still. There they lie side by side, those cowboys that died at the gunfight at OK Corral. Gunfight at OK Corral. Now, when Frankie Lane, oh, by the way, piece of trivia for you, it was not called the gunfight at OK Corral until 1957, and it happened in 1881. It was called the street fight. Wyatt Earp always, until he died, called it the street fight. And that's what it was. Because actually, it didn't happen at the OK Corral. It happened between the Harwood House and the Fly's Photograph Gallery in an alley near the OK Corral. Let's try putting that on a marquee. It's all about marketing, isn't it? Isn't it, Jim? All about marketing. Gunfight at OK Corral is a good title, and it's one that people never forget. So, but that's the story. Anyway, I called them cowboys because they were not killers. Billy Clanton had never killed anybody, and as far as we know, Tom and Frank McLaury had never killed anybody. So they were not killers, although some of the guys they hung around with were deadly killers. Johnny Ringo and Curly Bill and a bunch of Patterson and a bunch of those other guys. But the two McLaury brothers were not even rustlers. Now the Clintons were rustlers, but the McLaury brothers weren't even rustlers, and they were. But they were middlemen. They were fences. People stole the cows in Mexico mostly until the Mexicans started building fortresses presidios along the border and chased them out. But they were bringing these over to the McLaury Ranch where they were altering the brands. They'd even steal United States cavalry stock, and think how easy it is to make a US into a D8. That's how they did it. That was the brand they altered, and anyway, this is what they were doing. So does that make them outlaws? Well, I think they were. You could call them outlaws, but because outlawry was kind of in fashion around Cochise County in those days. But that's the story, and I have a good friend. The reason I had to go into all this explanation, I have a good friend. We're both officers in the Wild West History Association, and she is a relative of the McLaurys. And she told me one time after we'd had a few drinks together, and she said, you know, it really bothers me that they call them killers because they weren't really killers. And so I said, okay, from now on, I recorded this song on the Oblivion label a few years ago, and said from now on, in respect for you, I will refer to them as cowboys or outlaws, but I won't call them killers. So that's it.
Good story.
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you. Well, you're right.
Are you ready to give it back?
Yeah. I kind of like it. I like the way it sounds.
You were talking about the OK Corral. I don't know, Marshall, if you're familiar with this or not. Probably being the state historian you are, but I have just learned it the other day. There's a thing called the Cowboy Stomp that originated at the OK Corral, and I happen to know how to do the Cowboy Stomp. I don't line dance, but I do know how to do the Cowboy Stomp. It goes like this. Excuse me, give me a room. See what we got. Oh, damn, I stepped in that stuff again.
Boy, I haven't seen you move that fast in 20 years.
Well, I'd like to do a song for you that I wrote a few years ago about the little I-17 mystery Christmas tree. And how many people have seen look at this. Millions of people have driven by this tree, and over a period of, I say 30 years, I'm sure it's been even longer than that. Somebody's been sneaking out there at night and decorating that Christmas tree, and nobody knows who's doing it. Or if they do, they're not talking. And in fact, as I saw a highway patrolman one day up at Cordes Junction, and I went over and I asked him, and I said, have you ever seen whoever decorates that tree? Well, he said, to tell you the truth, he said, one time when I drove by there, they were decorating that tree. But he said, I just kind of turned my head the other direction and drove right on by, which I thought was pretty cool. But I thought that because it's been around for so long and so many thousands and thousands of people now look for this tree every year, It's kind of the prelude to Christmas, and we all kind of, when this little tree appears, we say, well, the Christmas season is alive and well, and it's on its way. So I felt the tree needed a name, so I called it Scrubby, because it's not a big, beautiful tree. It's a little scrubby, kind of a little tree like that. And I recorded this. I do have it online. You can download it if you like that. I also have the CDs here, which I'm happy to autograph for you today if anybody's interested. They make great stocking stuffers, by the way. My CDs do, especially if the person has square toes. It fits into the stockings real well. Out in Arizona, I need to put that up just a little bit higher here for there it is. Out in Arizona, there's a story to be told. Out in Arizona, there's a story to be told. A scrubby, the little cedar tree that grows beside the road. I-17 to Flagstaff from the desert down below. And a random act of kindness by some secret caring soul. Each Christmas someone sneaks out there in the middle of the night, decorates old Scrubby with Christmas balls so bright. It brings a smile to every face that passes by that sight. Yeah, Scrubby becomes a rock star, and for him this song I write. Scrubby is a cedar tree, no one knew his name. Someone decorated him and gave him pride and fame. Now the mystery of Scrubby Tree has lived for 30 years. We peel an eye as we drive by when Christmas time draws near. Children play of Santa's sleigh and the sound of 8 reindeer. Each year we wait anticipating for Scrubby to appear. Scrubby is the cedar tree, no one knew his name, till someone decorated him and gave him pride and fame. Now the magic of this mystery tree brings hope within our souls, that during these times of turmoil, a bell of goodness tolls. It tells the tale of Christmas that's heard across the land. It's an inspiration to us all to love our fellow man. Scrubby is a cedar tree, no one knew his name, till someone decorated him and gave him pride and fame. Now hopefully the mystery of Scrubby will never be solved. Let's let it be the identity of whomever is involved, 'cause it shows the joy of giving in a pure and selfless way, like the baby Jesus gave to us on that first Christmas day. Scrubby, the Christmas tree. Thank you. Thank you. What do you think, Marsh? Oh, by the way, Scrubby has not been feeling well lately. He almost got burned up in that fire up there on the freeway this last summer. I think he got his got singed or scorched because he's kind of brown this year. So we're hoping that he's going to recover and be with us. So if not,
Well, there's some more trees.
I'll have to write another song.
You know, the Dolan song reminded me of a real event that happened in 1929, and it was depression had just really hit, and people were hurting. And down in Nogales, Arizona, the people in there's Nogales, Sonora too, but the people in Nogales, Arizona heard that some 3,000 Mexican children were not going to have Christmas that year, so the people in Nogales, Arizona, made arrangements with the border officers on both sides, both Mexican and Gringo, and they would move the border. Where else but in Arizona would people, the citizens, move the Mexican border so that these little kids would be in America and then could have Christmas? They had the Christmas celebration at the city square there in downtown Nogales, and so that night they opened up. They moved the line. Just said the line's there now. It's over there now, and the kids came across. The border guards waved them on through. They went over, and each one of those kids were given a Christmas present, and that's one of my favorite Christmas stories. And you just think if you can do it, if you can make it so simple, then if these people can make it so simple, very practical, what's Congress having? This is the only political thing I'll say today, because I'm not a political person, but every time I think about that incident down at 1929 in Nogales, when the two cities came together, the two countries really came together for a very brief time. Well, I have this is Barbet. This is Barbet time right now. Okay, tell me, Barbet. Which city is higher in elevation, Bisbee or Prescott?
Bisbee.
How many of you say Prescott? Prescott? Bisbee? It's Bisbee. Bisbee's about 135 feet higher. And I believe Bisbee is the highest elevated city in the continental United States of that height, mile high.
That's a cool
Further
town,
south.
too. It really is.
Yeah.
Not visited Bisbee, you should go.
Huh?
Higher than Denver?
I'm not sure how high Denver is. They call it the Mile High City, but they call huh?
5280.
I was thinking Albuquerque.
Yeah.
No, Bisbee's
Albuquerque too, yes.
Bisbee's 53, 53
It's
something.
higher than Denver,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Denver's a lot higher since they legalized marijuana.
Well, you can say that again.
Technology Bisbee's 5538.
It's a good one, though.
Kevin, he manages my affairs. I'm not having any right now. Kevin, tell him again what that height of Bisbee is.
5538.
Wow, okay.
And Prescott? Oh. Prescott's just about 130 feet shorter.
5374 was a couple hundred feet lower than Bisbee.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure it hadn't changed since I got that information. Everything else in Arizona is changing.
You know, Marshall, it reminds me, when you do concerts, so many times you'll hear the people say, everybody turn off your cell phones, during the concert. I think that I am one of the only ones, and maybe you are too. I love to have people have their cell phones on because they fact check while I'm talking. And if I make a mistake, they go, "Oh no, you didn't do it that way," So
That's why
cool.
I retired
That's cool.
from teaching Arizona history at Scottsdale Community College. Got tired of being corrected. What else was I going to do? I thought I had. Which is older, the Petrified Forest or the Grand Canyon? Grand Canyon?
Depends on where you're at.
Petrified Forest is 225 million years old, and the Grand Canyon is 70 million years old. So the Petrified Forest, that's a forest that got stoned 225 million years ago, and it's still stoned.
I have a question I bet you don't know the answer to. Which is the oldest, the Petrified Forest or Marshall Trimble?
That's a loaded question.
Marshall Stone?
Well, we don't know.
I'm just that way all the time. Okay. Well, what am I gonna do? Oh, I think I'll do a tribute to Chandler. Great town. When I was born just down the road a little ways at a little place called Kyrene. We had a farm at Kyrene, and Tempe didn't have a hospital then. That's that long ago, and the nearest hospital was in Mesa, so I was born in South Side, and it's not there anymore either. But anyway, what did I say? Oh, I was talking about. Oh, I was going to do something about Chandler. Okay. Need to have somebody remind me what I was talking about here. This is an old Irish tune. I just did an event down at the Irish Cultural Center. If you haven't been there, have you been to the Irish Cultural Center? It is quite a place. And I was down there last year because my mother came from Ireland during the Great Hunger. Not my mother, her grandmother came during the Great Hunger, and so we were over there doing a thing. And now where was I going? I was going to do a song. Oh, Irish song. It's an Irish song, and it's dated back in the 1800s or earlier, but nobody knows for sure who wrote the song. But it's called Rosin the Bow, Rosin the Bow, and it goes like this. You might recognize it because a group that known as the New Christy Minstrels, they are now the Old Christy Minstrels. But they recorded this song right in their first appearance at the Troubadour. And you were there that night.
I was.
I was driving a rig out of Texas, all loaded and bound for L.A. I was taking my pleasure so freely, Lord, just having some fun on the way. I had quite a way with the ladies, Sweet Daddy was my middle name. Till I got to a place they called Chandler, Lord, I ain't never been quite the same. I've been from St. Louis to Abilene, I've rambled through many a town, but I got me a girl in Chandler, Lord, so that's where I'm settling down. Well, I kissed her and swore that I loved her. I told her someday she'd be mine. And I laughed all the way back to Texas. Yeah, to think she'd believe that old line. I got to pining for Chandler. It's funny how things come to be. When I slipped a ring on her finger, Lord, I knew that the laugh was on me. Everybody, I've been from St. Louis to Abilene, I've rambled through many a town, but I got me a girl in Chandler, Lord, that's where I'm settling down. Chet Atkins, doesn't it?
If you keep picking on that thing, it'll never get well.
So all you young fellers take a warning. You single men run for your life. Be careful and stay out of Chandler, or else you'll wind up with a wife. You'll walk down the street unsuspecting, and you won't believe what you see. 'Cause the prettiest women are in Chandler, Lord, you'll end up happy like me. I've been from St. Louis to Abilene. I've rambled through many a town, but it got me a woman in Chandler, Lord, that's where I'm settling down. I got me a woman in Chandler, Lord, that's where I'm settling down.
Never heard it done quite that way before.
Every town I'm in, I have to do it, and I have to think about it. I haven't gotten it wrong yet, but I've done Glendale. Yesterday, or a couple of days ago, I was going to do it in Sun City West, and that just doesn't flow. I got me a woman in Sun City West, so I took the song out of the show. I want to try to slip over your chord.
All right. Yeah, I should have. I'd like to do another Christmas song for you, Arizona Christmas song. And again, I'd remind you, I have these on my website, dolanellis.net or .com, and you can download them. I don't have, a lot of them are not on CDs. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I do have Scrubby on CD today. But I'd like to do this one for you. This is on CD. I'm going to do Rock Springs.
Yes, it's on CD.
What's that on?
Sense of Place.
Sense of Place. That's on my Sense of Place, it's called, album. And this is a wonderful song. It was written by three friends of mine by the name of Dean Cook, Lon Austin, and Tony Norris. And it memorializes really and tells the story, so I understand it was Dean who lived up in Flagstaff, and they'd come down each Christmas to visit his grandma in Glendale. But back in those days, Black Canyon Highway and the interstate had not been put in yet. It took 8 hours to get from Flagstaff to Glendale. And this was back about 1950, I guess it was, or maybe even a little after that. Marshall, you used to take that trip, didn't you, with your family?
Yeah, at Black Canyon Highway, yeah.
Yeah.
We moved up to Ashford in October 1947, and we left. At that time, the future I-17 was 27th Avenue. So we drove up 27th Avenue, and about New River, it turned to dirt, and that was it was a dirt road, and you can still see that road when you're going up to Sunset Point. You're climbing up on the interstate, and if you look off to your left, you see a little old narrow strip along the mountain side there. That's the old Black Canyon Highway.
And that's where the last saguaro is.
Yeah.
As you're going up.
Yeah. Well,
So
it took us 8 days. That's because we broke down in Bumblebee and then again in Cordes.
it was a rough trip, and these old cars, they weren't built as well, and so anyway, Dean wrote this song that retraces the steps of that old trip back in Arizona when he was a kid. And they'd always stop at Rock Springs. Rock Springs has been a stopover for man and beast for ever since the beginning of time almost. And it has quite a history of its own because open water, a spring in the desert, is a very, very valuable thing. So let me do for you Rock Springs. It was snowing up in Flagstaff, but we knew that the desert would be hot. So we crawled beneath the blankets. The dog always got the warmest spot. It was 2 days to Christmas when we climbed into the back of Dad's old truck. 8 hours down to Phoenix if we don't run out of water, tires, or luck. And we'll stop at Old Rock Spring, where the water flows so clean. Cool water in the desert was a thirsty traveler's dream. And we'll stop at Old Rock Spring, where the water flows so clean. Cool water in the desert was a thirsty traveler's dream. From the shade of Oak Creek Canyon up to the Cleopatra mine, a second breakfast down in Mare on old Highway 69. It's a dusty road to Cortez, then on down to Bumblebee. We're headed down to Grandma's, and we've brought the Christmas tree. And we'll stop at Old Rock Spring, where the water flows so clean. Cool water in the desert is a thirsty traveler's dream. And we'll stop at Old Rock Spring, where the water flows so clean. Cool water in the desert was thirsty traveler's dream. Today I'm headed down for Christmas. Black Canyon Freeway I will drive, with my kids just like I did when I was young and Grandma was alive. When December winds are blowing and the trees are covered white with snow, we'll be headed down for Christmas to the desert down below. And we'll stop at Old Rock Spring for that pie we love so dear. Oh, the memory that the stop brings of our Christmas trip each year. When we'd stop at Old Rock Spring, where the water flows so clean. Cool water in the desert was a thirsty traveler's dream. All right. Old Rock Spring. Thank you. Have it here, have it on that, have it on the line. Thank you. Okay, Marshall.
Yeah. Hey, Art. Who was that, John, that editor of the Mesa Tribune for so many years, the Irishman?
John McPhee.
McPhee, yeah, McPhee. I don't know, another senior moment here. I've told this story it's my favorite. I was, like I said, I was born in Mesa and then taught school there for several years at the Mesa schools, and it's a great little town, and but one of the enduring Christmas stories in this area that even affected Chandler. My mother, as a young girl in Kyrene, went to it, and it was 1932, I believe it was.
Yeah, I got my start actually performing and singing in those little Mormon bars out in Mesa. People say, Dolan, how'd you know those were Mormon bars? I said, no ashtrays on the table.
You know, that's funny. I did too in a place called the Feed Bag. Do you remember the Feed Bag? It was a great little place. That was where I got paid for the first time. and I found out I was making money. I was making more money singing in a bar with a couple of other guys than I was making teaching school with a master's degree. So I support teachers all the way. Anyway, John McPhee, Mesa was struggling. The Mesa business people were all along Main Street. They were all wondering, what can we do? It's going to be a lousy Christmas. And the Depression was on, and what are we going to do? And McPhee was he was always coming up with some kind of an idea. And he said, I have an idea. We told the council, he said, and the business people, he said, we will have Santa Claus come to Mesa, and he will jump out of an airplane with a parachute, and he will land. And then he can lead the Christmas parade through downtown Mesa. And everybody thought, boy, that is brilliant. You know, Lindbergh had just flown the Atlantic solo just 5 years before, so parachuting out of an airplane was a pretty novel thing. And so they made plans. They were going to use a stunt pilot, to jump out. And everybody was in great anticipation of a great Christmas shopping day. The farmers were coming in from Gilbert and Chandler and Kyrene and Tempe, and they all showed up. It was right where Alma School Road, Alma School and Maine, Apache Boulevard and Maine are the same. And it's where they come together. It was right there in field, that open field. I bet it's not open anymore. It was the old University of Arizona experimental farm. Yeah. And it was, so that was where they were going to land. Well, everybody's there. All these people brought their kids out. And then they discover they couldn't find the stunt man that was going to be Santa Claus. And I think it was probably in the Green Frog Saloon. Remember the Green Frog? It was in the Green Frog Saloon. I think that was the only saloon in Mesa back then. And he was in there. He was screwing up his courage on a bar stool. And he was so drunk he couldn't even hit the ground with his hat. Missed 3 times, tried to hit the ground with his hat. And so they got a real dilemma. But McPhee says, fear not. We will put a department store Santa in this airplane, and the pilot will just push him out and pull the ripcord and shoot. Will open, and he'll come down to earth. And I'll be in a duplicate Santa suit, hiding in the bushes. And when the fake Santa, the department store dummy, lands, I'll jump up and change places with him, and then I'll go lead the Christmas parade through town. They thought, this guy's a genius. McPhee is a genius. And there they go. They get a department store dummy, and they stuff him in the plane, and the plane flies over. All the people, including my mother as a junior, I think she was about an 7th, 8th grader, and they were all watching in anticipation this event. The plane flies over just for effect a few times, circles around, and then all of a sudden the door opens, and there is this big man in a red Santa suit in the open doorway, and then all of a sudden he jumps out, and he comes down like a rock, and flop, lands on the ground. Well, McPhee is undaunted by this experience. It's like the resurrection, not on Easter, but Christmas. And he rises out of the bushes and goes as if nothing happened, and climbs on the wagon. And by the time he gets downtown Mesa, the people have all, the farmers have all gone home. Their children are crying. Santa's been killed, and I don't know if you could convince kids today that they're much more worldly, but when you're mostly just farm kids and you think Santa's dead, we would have Christmas. And but the only thing in the doorways of the stores were the merchants giving. And McPhee's still riding the parade, and he finally thought, maybe he'd better take a 2-week vacation, and maybe it'll blow over. Well, it didn't blow over. John McPhee finally passed away in 1968, and the paper of the front page of the Mesa Tribune that day said, "Man who killed Santa Claus dies today." That's my Christmas story.
Farm just west of Chandler.
Marsh, I tell that story too, but you tell it great, man. That's a great story. And I'd love to have you record that and put it on my Arizona Christmas collection, in my Arizona Christmas collection. Would you do that? Isn't that great? That's a great story, isn't it? And he tells it good too. That's because he. That's because he's old enough that he remembers it firsthand. So, okay. Well, how long are we supposed to do this? I don't know.
Said until whenever you want to.
John says. Okay. Well.
It's just a treat to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's a treat to be here. Thank you. I've never done a bookstore show before. Because you know why? I don't have a book. I've done music store shows, but bookstores. Well, okay. Okay, well, I want to do a song for you about our wild horses of Arizona. Marilee and I have been involved with the Salt River Wild Horse Management Group for about 4 or 5 years now, I guess. And what caused us to become involved in it was, maybe some of you remember, they were scheduled to be rounded up in August about 4 or 5 years ago. And there was a group of us who felt that that shouldn't happen. That they should not be removed from the land because they are really a part of the living history of our state of Arizona. And the bloodlines on those horses run back to the conquistadors, probably Indian ponies, probably cavalry horses. And they have chosen themselves out there on the Salt River, out there by Saguaro Lake. They've chosen themselves a really wonderful home because they have a wonderful water supply and they have the shade of all the mesquite trees that grow along the Salt River. They have the mesquite beans that they eat and the grasses they eat. And these horses are very unique horses because they are water horses. These horses would rather be in the water than they would on the land. And they go out into this shallow river and they will dive. And it's very, I mean, horses do not do this. They will dunk for the eel grasses that grow in the bottom of the river. And they pull that grass up and they eat it, and it keeps the river flowing freely, and so that all the trash and garbage that humans leave behind can wash away further on down the river. So I've been watching these horses for many years. I used to have a home right out there by Saguaro Lake many years ago, and I used to watch these horses. 1971 is when I wrote this song, and that was the year of the first law that had ever been passed for any sort of protection or preservation of wild horses for the United States of America. It was called the Wild Horse, the Wild Horse and Wild Burro Free Roaming Act of 1971. So I wrote this for that time. Since then, I've recorded, in fact, I just recorded it again yesterday. I recorded it every once in a while because you don't want to have a 12-year-old singing this song for you when you buy the recording. So I record it every once in a while to keep up with the same voice. And anyway, Marilee and I have made.
You recorded this for Victor, didn't you?
Huh?
You recorded this for Victor?
For Victor?
Victor? Yeah.
Records?
Victor Lipschitz. No, the guy that's got a recording machine.
Oh, no. No, I record for the Tupperware. I record for Tupperware label. And actually they're going out of business since CDs are leaving us, you know, so I don't know what's next. But Marilee and I have made a DVD out of this song with the pictures of these horses that go with the DVD. People ask me if I had DVDs. Back some years ago, I had no idea what DVDs were, and I told him, I said, you know, the kind of underwear I wear is really my own business. Before that, they asked if I had CDs. And I said, you know, my financial statement is my own business. I don't like to discuss that on microphone. And so anyway, I'd like to do this for you. We have the DVD here today. And we have had this printed up, by the way. We pay for 100% of it. And 100% of your donation, if you'd like to have one of these DVDs, $10 or more, goes to help those horses out there. And we've raised many thousands of dollars so far to help the horses, and it's an ongoing expense. So if you'd like to join us in helping to save and preserve these horses, we'll send you home with a DVD of this song called Orphan of the Hills. Hear the hoofbeat of the Mustang pounding across the desert floor. Find the unshod track to where he's been to sleep the night before. Soon he'll silhouette the sun sets on horizons nevermore, and he'll never pass this water hole again. No, we'll never hear his whinny in the wind, but we'll always have his name on a Second World War plane. His shape will still be seen on the Detroit street machine. Is he happy running wild as the West abandoned child, or is he living like an orphan of the hill? His mama carried warriors of Geronimo. His daddy fought the battle of the Alamo. Today I fear the time is near, he'll join the buffalo, and he'll never pass this water hole again. We'll never hear his whinny in the wind, but we'll always have his name on a Second World War plane. His shape will still be seen on the Detroit street machine. Is he happy running wild as the West abandoned child, or is he living like an orphan of the hill? We've worked to keep the bighorn sheep, a job well done by man. We guide the course of natural force that grow upon this land. It's time to help the Mustang horse, his destiny's at hand, for he'll never pass this water hole again. No, we'll never hear his whinny in the wind, but we'll always have his name on a Second World War plane. His shape will still be seen on a Detroit street machine. Is he happy running wild as the West abandoned child, or is he living like an orphan of the hill? Is he happy running wild as the West abandoned child, or is he living like an orphan of the hill? Thank you.
I was going to say, Dolan made another, a few years ago, Dolan, when they had, I think it was the Rodeo Sky Fire,
Yes.
and you wrote that song about wildfire,
Yes.
and they took some of the royalties just this past week, and how much, want to tell me how much it was?
We donated $10,000 to a memorial for the Yarnell fire up in the center of town of Yarnell. That money, the walkway that goes down to the stage and all of that. It's called Wildfire Walkway, which I thought was really appropriate, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. Yeah. Thank you for
He's not
mentioning it.
such a bad guy after all. How many of you grew up with a family dog? I figured just about everybody, yeah. This may be the most important thing I'll tell you today. Your goal in life, you see, should be to be as good a person as your dog already thinks you are. And, we give dogs time we can spare, and space we can spare, and love we can spare, and in return, a dog gives us unconditional love all the time. And if you don't believe that, when you get home today, take your spouse and put him in the trunk of your car, put the dog in there with him, and then drive out to Apache Junction and back, and then open up the trunk and see which one of them's glad to see you. You know, it was just last week. I think it was last week. It was Halloween. It seemed like July 4th with the weather, but it was Halloween. And I remember, I was talking about Ash Fork a while ago. I spent the formative years of my life up there on Route 66 and traveling up and down Route 66 and high school sports and stuff like that. And our high school only had 30 students in it, so we were the smallest high school, I think, in Arizona at the time. And we lost every game we ever played up there in basketball and baseball. And the coach used to say, losing can be a learning experience. And I figured I got a real good education there. We only had 10 kids in the senior class when my dad was with Railroad and he got transferred down to Phoenix. We had to come down here. And but I can put on my resume I was in the top 10 in the senior class. We lived in a little trailer house with through the brutal winter. You remember the winter of 1948 and 49 when they had to airlift the hay into cattle and the deer up northern Arizona? But we slept in a trailer house, a 2-room trailer house. My brothers and I all slept in the same bed. I never slept alone till I got married. But anyway, that was quite an experience, and every kid ought to have an experience of growing up in a small town. And I go back to that town often and try to do what I can because the town is even poorer now than it was then, and just bypassed by the freeway, bypassed by the railroad, and so anyway, I figure I've made a pretty good living telling stories about being from Ash Fork over the years, but. This story reminded Halloween. Always, when Halloween comes, it always reminds me. We had the teacher was teaching us. I think it was the 5th grade in American history, and they were teaching about George Washington and how George Washington cut down the cherry tree. And when his father asked him if he cut down the cherry tree, he said, "Father, I cannot tell a lie. I cut down the cherry tree." And so, because he was honest. His father did not give him a whipping, which he was about to do. So I was coming home. It was Halloween, and I thought, you know, almost every house had an outdoor toilet there. There was no water in Ash Fork. It was all hauled in by the Santa Fe Railroad every day to the town. And so whiskey was cheaper than water, in fact. Yeah, in fact, I think they had more bars than they had water fountains. In 1948, the county recorder down at Yavapai County in Prescott called up our magistrate, and he wanted to know, he was doing a survey for the election that year, and he wanted to know how many voters did we have in Ash Fork broken down by sex. And the judge said, "None that I know of. Our main problem here is alcohol." Well, anyway, as I was coming home, I saw this irresistible target. It was a toilet to tip over. Did you ever tip over? I bet you did, Art. Tipping over toilets. And but anyway, I just couldn't resist. I ran over and tipped over this toilet and ran home. And a little while later, my dad came in and he said, "Who did it? Who did it?" And he was looking right at me. And my other brothers were just, and so I said, "Father, I cannot tell a lie." Remembering George Washington, I said, "I cannot tell a lie, I did it." And he grabbed me and he threw me over his knee. He always shaved with a straight edge razor, and it had this strap, the two parts to the strap that came together. It wasn't the razor that hurt so much, the razor strap, I mean. It was the loud noise that got you. I don't remember. I just remember that noise was terrifying. So he put me over his knee, and he's all set to wail on me. And I look up and I say, "Hey, wait a minute, George Washington's father asked him, did he cut down the cherry tree? And he said he did, because he didn't tell a lie. George Washington didn't spank him." And my dad says, "George Washington's father wasn't sitting in the cherry tree when it happened either." Well, we ought to do big hat, man with a big hat.
Somebody requested.
Yeah.
Want to do it?
I was gonna, you were going to do Ghost Riders?
Goes, yeah.
Want me to do Ghost Rider?
One more.
Yeah, do Ghost Riders, and then we'll do big hat.
Ghost Rider. All right. Okay.
Try to keep it under 20 minutes, though.
All right. An old cowboy went riding out one dark and windy day. On a bridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw plowing through the ragged sky. And up the cloudy draw. Well, the brands were still on fire and their hooves was made of steel. Their horns was black and shiny, and their hot breath he could feel. Him as they thundered through the sky, as they saw the riders coming hard, and he heard their voices so high. What they cried, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-oh. Those riders in the sky. Yeah! Well, local legend has it that Stan Jones had climbed up the tower of his windmill while he was up there down by Douglas, Arizona, up there tying the blades down to protect it from an approaching blowing storm. They looked across the valleys of high desert grassland that they have down in Cochise County, and he saw the clouds brooding over the distant mountains in an awesome and mysterious sort of way. And this song, without a doubt one of the most famous songs ever written in traditional Western music, was inspired by southeastern Arizona and written by Arizona cowboy Stan Jones. Their faces gaunt, their eyes was blurred, their shirts were soaked with sweat. They're riding hard to get autumn yet. 'Cause they got to ride forever on that raindrop in the sky, on Professor Snorting Fire. As they ride on, hear their cry. Yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yo. Those riders in the sky. Get them sheep out of here. This is cattle country. Now as the riders come past him, he heard one call his name. If you want to save your soul from hell riding on this rain, then cowboy, change your ways today, or with us you will ride. Ride against the devil's herd across these endless skies. Yippee-yi-yi, yippee-yi-yo. Those riders in the sky. Well, the man in the big hat is biting. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink up to the cowboys, a dead or a dying. Drink to my compadre and me. Drink to my compadres and me. Thank you very much. See, I can hit the floor with my hat. Well, I guess we're going to close it off with this one. We thank you all for coming out to listen to us have a good time up here. We hope you had a good time too. We'd like to remind you that both of us do have our CDs and our books and all that sort of thing. And in my particular case, now's the time, if you want some Christmas CDs and such, now's the time to get them, because then you don't have to pay for the shipping and the, you know, and the handling and all that thing through the mail.
Need some money to get a tank of gas and take home.
Absolutely right. In a bar in Arizona on such a summer day, a cowboy walked in off the road just to pass the time away. He pulled the stool up to the bar, pushed the hat back on his head, and I listened to his stories, to the words the cowboy said. He said, I can tell you stories about the Indians and the plains. Talk about Wells Fargo and the coming of the trains. I'll tell you about the story of the buffalo that roamed. Speak of all the settlers coming looking for a home. Yes, the man in the big hat is buying. Drink up while compadres and me. Drink to my compadres and me.
People need heroes, and if they don't have them, well, they have to make them up. The Old West didn't have that problem because it had an abundance of the real deal. And in that land of giants, the one that stood head and shoulders above all the rest was the cowboy. Nature's nobleman. America's rendition of King Arthur's Knights of the Round Table. The cowboy, well now the cowboy was a huge myth with a whole lot of reality thrown in.
Yes, the man in the big hat is buying. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink up to the cowboys, a dead or a dying. Drink to my compadres and me. Drink to my compadres and me. Well, he rested easy on the bar, put his foot up on the rail, and he talked of times and things he'd done while traveling on the trail. And the silence never broke the room as the words fell from his lips, as quiet as that 45 he carried on his hip. Well, I rode the cattle drives from here to San Antonio, 10 days in the saddle till I'm weary to the bone. And I rode from here to Wichita without a woman's smile. And the campfire where I cooked my beans was the only light for miles.
It was the golden age of prevarication, and these guys were the experts. Cowboys is noisy fellows with bow legs and brass stomachs that works from the hurricane deck of a U-neck cow pony. Hates any kind of work that can't be done from a top one. Why, they rides like Comanches, ropes like Mexicans, and shoots like Texas Rangers, and they can spit 10 foot into a stiff wind, whoop the weight in wildcats, fight grizzlies bare knuckle, and bites on the tail of live cougars. Only way to get rid of one is to cut off his head and to bury it someplace where he can't find it. Yeah!
Well, man, this big hat is buying. Drink up while the drinking is free. Drink up to the cowboys, a dead or a dying. Drink to my compadres and me. Drink to my compadres and me. Well, he rolled another cigarette as he walked out towards the door. I heard his spurs a-jangling as his boot heels hit the floor. He loosened up his belt and I pulled the hat down on his head. And as he turned to say goodbye to me, this is what he said. Well, the high lines chase the highways, and the fences close the range. And to see a working cowboy is a sight that's getting mighty strange. He said, son, a cowboy's life was lonely, and his life was not the best. But if he hadn't to live that life he did, my friends, we just wouldn't have had no West. Well, the man.
All America lies at the end of the wilderness road. Our past is not a dead past, but still lives in us. Our ancestors had civilization on the inside, but on the outside it was wild. And today, we live in the civilization that they created. But within us, the wilderness lingers still. What they lived, we dreamed. And what they lived, they dreamed.